that. So sometimes I have different solubility tables and rules depending upon the book. I really like rule number 1.
Also, okay.
Okay, rule 1 supersedes anything in 2. And rule 2 overrules anything down below. Did you guys gone when we give that out?
So that's acetates?
Yep. You guys need one, so come up and get one. So, acetates. Now, 1 and 2. So 1 and 2, no matter what, if you have those present, you automatically write an AQ. Does that make sense? If you have any of these present, you go ahead and assume that you write AQ with it. So if you see them in a formula or whatever, they should be AQ. All right? Number 3. Now this isn't exactly the same slip that you guys have. It's really super similar. The wording might be a little different. That's okay, because these 6 match up with your 6. All right? It says most of these chlorides, bromides, and iodides, if you have them, they're soluble. That means you write an AQ for it. There are some exceptions on 3 through 6. Okay? Here's the exceptions. If you have chlorine, fluorine, and iodine with one of these 3, you cannot do that anymore.
So
They'll form a solid. We used to do, long time ago, we used to do what's called testing, a qualitative analysis of different ions. And we would go through a series of tests to see if an ion was present or not. It was kind of cool. It took a little bit longer time, took about a week and a half to do, and so basically you'd have 10 ions and you'd have to separate them by how they would precipitate out. And these 3 were called the heavy metals, group 1 heavy metals. Because if we had them present, if we put them with chlorine, guess what? The only ones that would precipitate out would be silver, lead, and mercury. That'd be the only things. If you didn't get a precipitate, then you didn't have any of those 3 in a sample. Most sulfates are soluble. Okay, that means you write an AQ. But if you have them with barium, lead, mercury, or calcium, then you write a solid. Does that make sense? Now, 5 and 6 are a little different. Okay, 5 says most of the time they're only going to be slightly soluble. So if you notice, on yours, you don't have insoluble. You have marginally soluble. Even if they're marginally soluble, you write an S with it. Okay? Now, what they're saying on this that's not in yours, that BaOH, SROH, and CaOH, they precipitate fully. Okay?
So,
there's only 2 that are soluble, and it's NaOH and KOH. Does that make sense? So on yours, not on mine.
that would be AQ then.
Those would be AQ. Yep. And then on the last one, it says all of these are insoluble. But guess what supersedes them? If there was something in number 2. So if number 2 comes into account and it's with any of these, you write an AQ. Okay. So what I need you to do is practice doing a double displacement and writing out your products and determining if they're solid or aqueous.
What is this? I can't remember doing this. I need this.
You can just put it away.
Okay.
Out of sight, out of mind. Okay?
That's what my dad says.
So, go ahead, do the first one, look at your chart. Remember, you double switch. You do a double switch. Okay? It's like in basketball when you're on one guy and the guy's on another guy and you have to switch. That's what's happening. You double switch. Okay? Alright? I'm going to put these charges up here so you guys don't have to look them up. Normally, you've got to look them up just to make sure you're writing them correctly on the product side. So rewrite those out.
I know the song. It's on 2K.
Yes, I will. But granted, you're going to have to do it yourself
Look 'em up.
when you do these.
Can I have the key to the bracelet deck?
Already?
Yeah,
Why?
because I'm gonna weigh myself.
Why don't you do it at lunch?
Because I have free time now.
What do you have now?
Spanish, and we were just doing our speaking test. And
Okay. Speaking. Did you speak Spanish okay?
I
Yeah.
forgot to take that. So did I. Senor.
You know how to do this, Cole.
Well, just making sure. Storms. Shut up, Cole. Yeah, shut up, Cole.
What are you guessing?
But how much I weigh?
Yeah, how much you're over.
Oh, I'm not over.
Well, how much you're under?
I don't know, probably like half a pound.
Half a pound under?
That's the first.
Bryce, you can't talk. You were 5 over yesterday.
Ooh.
And I'm only one today.
Boom. Roasted.
5 pounds? Boom.
Yes, I
I
found
was 4 over yesterday.
Hey,
I know.
All right.
No, really spicy.
Take another minute. Okay? Yeah, you guys probably should have your sheets out of your, well, later on you guys will have to have your charge sheets out and everything, okay?
Can I go read basketball at David Wrestling? Like all the 5-foot dudes just play together. The 6'3" dudes just play together.
6'8", they're just even tall, dude. They had weight classes for basketball.
So you gotta cut height. Wearing sandals.
Brenna, why is that the first one? Yeah.
If there was like a brawl, you wouldn't
Sorry if that was a diss person. I didn't mean it to be.
It's soluble in the aqueous. I thought it was hilarious.
Okay, so I'm going to go through this so that you guys can get started. And so LI goes with PO4.
It's 3.
So you have Li free PO4. You guys determine if it's aqueous or solid.
It's solid.
Okay, we'll look at it in a second. We look at K, goes with F. You guys are talking too much. K goes with F, and so that one's fine. And we needed 3 of these because of the charges to balance out. So now we can balance here in a second, but let's see. So we look at Li3PO4, and we see PO4 says that phosphates on number 6 are only slightly soluble.
That's a solid.
No.
Nope, because when we look at Rule 2,
It has
it says
Li.
if it has one of those in it, it's aqueous.
What's a cat eye?
Lithium.
So number 2 always supersedes everything below it. Meaning anything that,
What's a cat
remember I said, anything with Li in it,
Positive. It's plus.
it's aqueous. Then we look at KF, and we find K in rule number 2. Okay, so we find K in rule number 2, and so it has to be aqueous.
And so there's no reaction. If it wasn't.
So it's no reaction. It's just like putting 2 liquids together and they stay liquid. That's all that's happening. So you will have something like that. And to prove it, you would just write they're both aqueous.
Is that even a reaction?
I'm just so bad
No.
at balancing.
No, it's kind of like the single replacement where nothing takes place. Okay?
Oh my